Does the Federal Reserve of the United States really want to fight inflation, or is it using it as a cover-up to strengthen the dollar's global dominance? Welcome to another geopolitical analysis video. Please like and subscribe this channel if you like my content. We always present to you the more skeptical side of what's going on. One of the most powerful quotes of Henry Kissinger, arguably the most influential advisor in global politics, "He who controls money controls the world." Now, keeping that in mind, the Federal Reserve over the last few months has aggressively raised interest rates faster than ever before in history. The ramifications are the collapsing of the emerging markets to yield to the US dollar. The US dollar chart indicates a basket of other world currencies like the yen and euro all collapsing to the dollar strength. Again, this doesn't indicate a strength of the dollar per se, but a collapse of the other currencies to USD. So you may ask, why now? Why is the Federal Reserve starting to aggressively increase rates? The cover that they're doing it to fight inflation is a massively overstated topic. The reality is that we are experiencing the war of monies, the war of central banks who are trying to strengthen their dominion with various tools and tactics. Now, where are the facts of this argument? First fact. Last year, the ECB and other central banks organized an event called Green Swan, an event discussing about ESG investments, government bond purchases based on climate change policies, and green transitions to cut carbon emissions. Now, Jerome Powell presented a very different agenda than the rest of the central banks to the green transition. Let's follow one of his statements. At the Fed, we see our role as an important one that is tied tightly to our existing mandate, he said. Our mandate hasn't changed. We haven't been assigned a role in setting overall policy. We don't have a secondary mandate to support the economic policies of the government. He continues, today, climate change is not something that we're directly considered in setting monetary policy. Again, this shows that this is not something that the Fed wants to do because it will decapitate its own currency by excluding everything else and focusing on climate change in this green transition. Now, we know that the European Central Bank has been focusing on this so-called green transition, and of course the Commission has voted in for the Green New Deal, which excludes all fossil fuels and has a target for net zero carbon in 2030 up to 2050. Of course, Lagarde suggested that the ECB will continue its climate change in action and how it will affect the corporate bond purchases. Of course, this shows the chasm between these two central banks. So a fun fact is that this year's Green Swan event did not invite Jerome Powell. And of course, if this isn't a clue, then I don't know what is. Second fact is the creation of BRICS, which propelled its agenda, especially during the Ukrainian war, where a basket of commodities is being discussed to exchange between the countries that greatly represent the 60% of global economy. These emerging markets are supporting currencies like the ruble for gas payments and other services. These forms of payments are threatening the dollar as a reserve and raise a multipolar world with consequences to the Western economies. These unions represent the majority of commodity-producing countries that are consumed by the West. Thirdly, China has been competing with the IMF on loan handouts. The IMF has also been introducing the concept of digital currency called ESDR to compete with Bitcoin, which represents a great standard for decentralized hard money. So as you can see here, there is a competition of monies, a competition of various currencies that are trying to gain momentum in this multipolar world that we're living. So given that the US cannot print commodities and win over other commodity-rich countries, it will do anything in its power to maintain its dominance by increasing rates to yield other currencies to the dollar strength. The US has one and only tool, and that is to increase rates. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you like this video, like and share the video. Please comment as well what your next topic would like to be. I got a few videos on queue, but I greatly appreciate your feedback. Thanks so much. Bye for now.